With stipple texture, we start to be a little more creative and unique. For the most part, the first four textures that we have just worked with are very common in memorial design. Now let's stretch our mind beyond the normal. The technique for stippling is very easy to explain, especially with the visual assistance of a video. The tools required for stippling are a 9-point chisel and a pneumatic hammer. As you select a 9-point chisel, keep in mind that the degree of sharpness on those 9 points will have a great deal of impact on the finished texture. If you select a brand new, very sharp 9-point, you will create a rougher and brighter texture. If you select a duller 9-point, the texture will be smoother and more dull of a contrast. If you have both chisels available, it is best to start with a dull chisel to see if it gives you the desired result. Then move to the sharper chisel if you want greater contrast. The important part of doing the stippling is to keep the chisel moving all over the entire area of the stone. By keeping the chisel moving, you avoid the obvious risk of working one area longer than the other. When you are stippling the surface, you are breaking up the smooth surface and making it rougher. You can stipple a polished, a sawed, or a dusted surface, and each will give you a different result. The stippling of polish adds a lot more character because you can actually leave some very small dots of polish by not overworking the surface. Many times the stipple texture is used in a recessed area on the face of a memorial. This is normally achieved by first sandblasting the area to be recessed. The sandblasting will get the recess to the desired depth. Then the stippling of that sandblasted area will make the surface more even and much brighter. This recessing can be used many different ways, like the accent of the shape of the memorial or to accent a design. A very attractive way to use a stippled recess area is to mount a bronze attachment in that area. The area itself can help draw our attention to the actual design. Some other ideas for stippling could be to stipple the entire monument. You can also stipple a separate piece in a multi-piece memorial. This can be even more dramatic if you use different colors of granite. Another idea is to stipple the edges of a memorial. You can stipple a rock pitch surface. Stippling the rock pitch will soften it and give it a whole new look. No matter how you use stippling in your memorial design, the important part is to use it. Just using it will make your design unique and set your company apart from the common everyday monument company. Axe textured surfaces are very similar to steel and stippled textures. The axe texture is very light, like the steel texture. It is also hand-tooled with a chisel and a pneumatic hammer, like the stippled texture. One of the key characteristics in an axe texture is the lines that you see on the surface of the stone. These lines are formed by the 6-blade chisel as it is worked back and forth across the stone. Though these lines are not very deep, they catch the sunlight. These subtle lines can run horizontal and vertical in order to crisscross them and catch even more light. From a distance, there is normally no distinguishable pattern of lines. It is only when you view the texture up close that you can truly see a pattern of lines. The axe texture has been used on monuments for many years. The unfortunate problem is our industry has lost an appreciation for this wonderful texture. We have seen it as an old-fashioned texture. Well, it's time we brought it back. There are a lot of design situations that require a subtle and elegant texture. This texture is so subtle it could be overlooked. So much so, in fact, that many of your non-professional competitors won't even know what it is or how it's done. The ways that the axe texture is used are very similar to the ways the stippled texture is used. The entire face of the memorial can have an axe texture, or an axe texture can be used to draw attention to another design. The texture can be used at the bottom of a recessed area to draw greater attention to the shape or a bronze attached design. This texture is also like stippled in that the sharpness of the chisel can have a dramatic effect on the end result. If you desire the lines to be deeper and more noticeable, the blades on the chisel must be long and sharp. If you want less distinguishable lines, use a dull 6-blade chisel. This dull chisel will give a much smoother texture. If you have the right equipment, use some trial and error with this technique and see how you like it. You might like this texture so much that you will use it often. Sunburst is a very popular texture in today's memorials. The popularity of this texture has grown so much over the past 20 years, and it is now an industry standard. The simplest way to describe what sunburst texture is to say it is rough rock-pitched lines or rays. These lines can be straight vertical or straight horizontal, but they are most commonly used as rays, leading our eyes toward a center focus point. These rays can lead our eyes' attention right to the main design. The technique for this texture is a two-step process. The first step is to sandblast and grave deep lines into the stone in the pattern that you want the rays to follow. These deep lines become the bottom of the rays. Then you rock pitch with a hammer and chisel from the top center of the ray down toward the bottom of that deep line. You must rock pitch on both sides of the ray to hold the line on the top surface. It is also very popular to zigzag that top area when pitching away from the center. By changing the direction and angle of the chisel back and forth on each side of the ray, it is possible to achieve this zigzag effect. This look of sunburst texture can be done in so many different ways, it can almost be as unique as the individual doing the work. There is no right or wrong way to do this texture. As you experiment with this texture, there are a couple different things to try in order to develop your preferences. You can change the appearance by varying the width and depth of the lines. Also, you can vary the width of each ray. You can rock pitch some with a straight line down the center and some with zigzag lines. Then you can try straight vertical or horizontal lines compared to rays coming out of a center focal point. Whatever your preference may be, keep your mind open to the many different ways you can use this texture. This texture is one of the most beautiful and dramatic. It can help you produce memorials that are more unique and interesting. Flame texture in stonework is not at all new. It is, however, seldom used in memorial design. For many years, the flame texture has been used on architectural stone projects to reduce the slick nature of smooth stone surfaces. This flame texture is often used for floor tiles and steps so that people would not slip and fall when they are walking on them. Now we want to show you how this flame texture is done, what it looks like, and encourage you to use it in your designs. As you can see, a torch is used to heat the surface of the stone to the temperature where the grains in the granite separate and pop off the surface. Once this outer layer pops off, what remains is a rough surface. This surface is similar to the texture of a stippled surface, but a little rougher. It is a darker color than the stippled texture because it doesn't have the bright point marks caused by the 9-point chisel. The flame texture is the natural stone color, like rock pitched is when it is done. The best advantages to the flame texture is that natural color and the even texture. As long as the flame keeps moving across the stone surface at an even rate, there are no large variations in the surface, like that which can be seen on rock-pitched surfaces. Another advantage that the flame texture has over rock-pitched texture is that it can be done over a large area, like the entire face of a memorial. There are several dangers when doing the flame texture. The obvious danger is the flame itself. It is crucial that you exercise great caution when working with the flame. Also, as the granite gets red hot, pieces of that red hot granite will pop out and away from the surface. These can burn the stoneworker or cause a fire if not dealt with properly. If you are the least bit unsure of your ability to do this texturing technique safely, do not do it. Just design the memorial and request the flaming to be done before the memorial is shipped. Whether you do it in your shop or you have it done at the manufacturer, the most important thing is the finished result. In your memorial design, include flame texture as an option you can use.
We have seen some very interesting textures for use in memorial design. We have looked at polished, steeled, dusted, rock-pitched, stippled, axed, sunburst, and flamed. These textures are some of the most popular in our industry. They in no way represent all the possibilities. In fact, there are really only one limitation on the possibilities for texture in memorial design, and that is your imagination. Be bold and daring in designing monuments. Try some new things. You might be surprised at how exciting it is and how beautiful the monuments turn out. Dave, thank you so much to you and the Rulo Granite Company for helping us produce this video.
You're very welcome.